Welcome back to Market Day Report. Exciting day on break. I was checking the cattle market. I may even traded a couple cattle on my cell phone. Isn't it a different world? 20 years ago, 10 years ago, I would have been standing in a pit. I would have been standing in a pit next to our next guest. Let me read the quotes and I'll bring him in, Mr. Chris Robinson. But let's get to the corn board first, and then we'll bring him in, an old friend from Chicago. Sep corn 383 3/4, down 3 3/4. East corn 407, down 2 1/2. March corn 424 1/4, down 2 1/4. Let's look at soybeans here. Soybeans have a little bit more strength, starting to give it back. In Sep soybeans 1029 1/2, up 3/4. Note beans 1049 3/4, up 3/4. Interesting board. Look at that range, 10-cent range, $10 beans. I'll do the math. That's about a 1% range. I didn't even have to take off my shoes or count on my fingers on there. Sep Board of Trade wheat 503 1/4, down 6 1/4. Seeing pressure in all three wheat classes today. December wheat 525 1/4, down 6 1/2. Let's head over to KC. KC it is 487 1/4, down 5 3/4. December wheat 513 1/2, down 4 1/4. I was listening to Jeff on the last segment when he was talking about weather, and he talked about big rains in Wichita. I have to tell you, went out to Kansas last week, went to Dodge City, Kansas, and the one thing I can say about the state of Kansas, besides the people being so awesome, is the grass was green and the cattle were happy. No shortage of moisture out there, as my good friend Jeff says here. Sep spring wheat 556 1/2, down 9 3/4. Looking at D spring wheat 581 1/4, down 8 1/2. Last but not least, let's look at cotton. Cotton 65.06. Seeing December cotton up a little bit, little market bounce here in cotton 66.78 there in the cotton. Let's bring him in, Mr. Chris Robinson, Robinson Ag Marketing, an old friend from the Board of Trade who I love. I get so excited when I look down at these note cards, and it's someone I know. I like all our guests, but some I love. Is that good to say to another man, Chris?
It's good to say. I saw a mutual friend of ours the other day, Lance. I was having coffee and I said hello to him. So
Lance,
yeah, it's nice to see. Yeah.
Warms my heart. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be in the business. I'll tell you a story. I know Tammy will appreciate this. On my 21st birthday, you know, most people are taking people out for a drink. He gave me a Bible, and he wrote the most beautiful message in it. And I probably didn't look at it that day, but like 20 years later, I looked at the message, and I look at it often now. So big shout out to Lance. Thank you. What a gift.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Stage is yours, my friend.
You got to say, you know, we had a 25-cent bounce in corn, courtesy of the 80-cent bounce in beans. That bean, I think, was a rally, a gift. You know, the funds had been short 60,000. They lost about 80 cents on that. Now they're flat. And again, you know, there's that old expression: the bull needs to be fed every day. You know, we need more fuel on the fire for beans to pull us up. Soybeans, you know, that's the key. Corn, it's still fighting through whatever the yield was, whatever the pro farmer yield is, whatever the USDA is. We've got a big crop coming, and that's what's overhanging the corn market. Now, we had a good rally. It looked like we were going to get more. We had basically a 25-cent rally in corn. That was a gift. Now we're sliding here lower. What am I worried about? Well, there's 2 days left in the month. And what typically happens is the funds will dress their positions up. So that means they're probably going to sell some more corn. They may sell some beans. They're kind of flat beans, but you know, the weather's non-threatening. You mentioned how good it looked in Kansas. I drove out to Des Moines over the weekend, and you know, Interstate 80, it was just green and beautiful. So there's no weather stress out there. People are hoping that we get a reduction in the yield, either with you know, it being too dry or maybe, you know, some disease stuff. But this market has that overhang, and I think we're going to be in this market where it's SOS, sell on strength. When you get 80-cent rallies in the beans, you have to do something with them.
Perfect. Let's do something and take a commercial break. All right, my good friend. We'll be right back with more Market Day Report. Trying to keep the lights on here. We're going to come back with Chris Robinson and talk cattle right after this. Hi, Tommy Grisafi with Ag Bull Trading. I believe free information is costing you too much. Are you ready to merchandise grain like a professional? Please call us at 1-855-737-FARM. Ag Bull Trading is a division of Nesvick Trading Group LLC. Well, I am Tommy Grisafi, and I want to get right in these cattle markets because it is a dynamic day. Like every day is in cattle, let's quote up this board and get you educated here. August live cattle, which will be expiring soon, 245.62 up 312. Starting to see a little weakness in the back months. Oct cattle, 240.77 up 257. Going through the quotes quick so we can get back to Chris. August feeders 212 up 212. Now they were up over 400 just a little bit ago. That's why when I said I went on break, was looking at my cell phone. What modern technology? I'm sure Chris has something to say about that. August feeders 365.52, only 2. How about this? We're saying that feeder cattle are only up 2. That's because they go up so much. Interesting dynamics there. Lean hogs, looking at lean hogs, 94.42 in the October, up $1. Dees lean 86.97 up $1. Let's bring him in, Mr. Chris Robinson, Robinson Ag Market. Chris, feeder cattle only up 2. What do we do?
All-time highs. We were at 64. It looked like we're going to go to 70. I mean, it just keeps going. And we've had these $10 pullbacks, which look like the top's in. The market turns right on and goes. Here's my one warning sign. One of the things you look for is when people that never trade cattle start getting interested in cattle, and we're kind of there. There was a quote from a well-followed analyst, a stock guy out of New York City. I'm not going to say his name, but he was talking about cattle. And typically when that happens, when somebody that never trades something wants to trade it, it's getting late in the day. It's because everybody's found out about it. Look at this chart of cattle. And I'm not calling the top, but I'm saying it's probably within a month or two, because when when somebody never trades wants to trade it, that's usually a sign of an exhaustion. And let's face it, it's been an amazing run, ridiculous run. I mean, look at cattle. It looks like a chart of NASDAQ from 1999. But remember what happened in NASDAQ in 1999? It corrected. Sooner or later, Mr. Market will correct. So what do? If you're a producer, manage the risk, defend all this revenue out there. You don't have to do anything crazy. You don't have to trade a whole lot of futures. This is a time to be looking at put options, in my humble opinion, because that's what you want. You want the floor without the margin call.
Chris, you said that so well. I don't need to say anything more than that, but
Thanks.
Thank you. And it's good seeing a friend from Chicago. I've known you for over 30 years. Keep up the good work, my friend.
Thank you, Tom. Take care.
Tammy.
Yeah, that is so interesting how folks who have never done it before, know nothing about cattle trade, are now getting into it. So yeah, we got to watch that. All right. Thanks so much.